Bang! Boom! I will never retire!
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
It's me, Austin!
Who are you to doubt El Daniel? Because this guy's a serious professional. Rep, screw, rep.
Yeah! Can he do it? Over! Oh, and a kick out! Unbelievable!
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am the Macho King and the Savage.
Woo! Such a mouth wearing fatty!
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included for free. All Facebook users, Wrestler Unstoppable. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, my good buddy John down in Texas. John, love to hear from you. Get your name into the shoutouts just like John by jumping over to patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast and signing up today. Loyalty rewards, $15 a month contributor. You can co-host a show with me live. $7.50 a month contributors, you get entered into a drawing to do the same. And hopefully we get some of you guys hooking up with the show and getting that underway. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got something you'd like us to talk about in the future episode, do us a favor. Shoot us a conversation over at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line. Tell us your thoughts, the things you want us to talk about, 267-642-1160, and we'll get to those in a future show. So much going on in the world of professional wrestling, as everybody by now knows, at the Survivor Series War Games. Look, I'm sorry. I thought the show was relatively solid, little weak in the middle. The women's match was great. The men's match was great. I thought the Rhea was a real letdown. Gunther, decent match. Certainly not on par with most of the other Gunther matches we've seen. Just the show top to bottom, all the mid-card stuff really just didn't matter. The two major matches, the two War Games matches, were relatively solid. And the one thing I got to say, I'm not a fan of throwing all the weapons in the ring and stuff like that. That's not what War Games was when the NWA brought it out, or even WCW War Games matches. I don't like that element of it. I'd love to just see some great cage-style wrestling. But I get it. I know why they do it. People are all into those high spots and all the influence of the hardcore fans out there who love to see all that violence. I get some of it, but I just think they overdo it a bit. It almost gets ludicrous. You're in there, you got, your team is down, you have a disadvantage, there's two guys in the ring beating on one guy, and you come down to the ring, and then you take your time to climb under the ring, pull out a bunch of kendo sticks and tables and every other thing, trash cans, and throw them into the ring. It just doesn't make much sense to me. If you gave a flying hoot about the guy that's in the ring getting double teamed and beat down, you jump right into the ring and help him out. You wouldn't be waiting to go get a kendo stick. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think it takes away from the original beauty of the match. But whatever, it is what it is. Everybody's got their own opinions about everything they do with the War Games. I think it's a great match. I just think it belongs on its own pay-per-view. I don't think it necessarily needs to be on Survivor Series, where the original tagline was "Teams of Five strive to survive." I want to see traditional Survivor Series matches every now and again. If you're going to do War Games, there should be one of those, and maybe whether the men do that or the women do that, the other half of the card should, or the other presentation on the show should be the other group of people doing the other concept, so we get them all out there. Oddly enough, I actually saw on Arn Anderson's show his comments about Battle Bowl, the concept that WCW introduced in 1991, originally won by Sting, also won by Vader, won by the Great Muta, really great revolutionary concept when it came out. I loved it. He hated it. He thought there was too much chaos with it and whatnot. I actually loved that. That was one of my absolute favorite pay-per-view concepts. Similar to Royal Rumble, slightly different. They had the first time they did it, they had 40 wrestlers, broke down into 20 random tag teams, 10 random tag team matches, and the winning tag teams from those matches, those 20 guys went into a 2-ring battle royal, where the winner of battle royal in ring 1 and ring 2 would then face each other in an over-the-top battle royal final elimination scenario. I thought it was great. The original one won by Sting over Lex Luger in the final. I just thought that was a great concept. Arn Anderson apparently doesn't like it. Back to the Survivor Series discussion, though. Let's talk about R-Truth coming back. As stupid as it may sound to some people, Love it. I love the guy. I miss the guy. I think he adds a great comedic element to the show. All the weird conversation backstage between Pretty Deadly and Alpha Academy was just a little strange for me. And then R-Truth kind of brought it all together. So I actually love that. I'm not going to lie. I loved the setup for the cash-in for Money in the Bank turning into the introduction of Randy Orton. The only problem, this is me nitpicking because I'm such a diehard wrestling junkie fan. The only issue I took with the Randy Orton situation is they hit the music with the camera on Rhea and the referee for the cash-in, and they missed his initial appearance coming through gorilla position so you could see him come through the curtain. I would have thought that would have been just a few seconds earlier would have been really special. So that was the only thing I critique about that. I love the fans pop for Randy Orton. You had to know it was happening. I'm sure there were some people in Chicago hoping it was somebody else. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm thrilled that it was Randy. Thrilled that he got that pop. He really does look jacked and bigger than ever. And I thought that it was wonderful to see him come back. But this was a match where it was obvious that he was just doing the Randy Orton's greatest hits. Hitting all the moves he always hits, which is probably good. Limit what he has to do so he doesn't have to beat his body up any faster than he has to. Of course, his match on Raw against Dominic Mysterio was more vintage Randy Orton. I thought it was done very well. So I'm thrilled with Randy being back. And of course, we have to get into the CM Punk conversation. I love how they rolled the credits in the bottom right corner of the screen. I watched Wrestle Talk, their live stream on a different window while this was all going down. And I thought it was awesome the way even they were watching the show and they're, oh, nope, there it is. There's the credits. And, and I love that they got into the montage on Monday night when they were recapping everybody's reaction to CM Punk coming out. That it was such an awesome reaction. Great shout out to those guys over at Wrestle Talk. If you never see their show, you need to check it out. They do one of the best programs on YouTube and other social media in the world of professional wrestling. They have multiple channels, but if you just go to Wrestle Talk, it's fantastic. And their reaction was just, the whole thing was perfect. I'm man enough to admit, look, I've complained about Punk in the past few months because I felt like his shenanigans cost diehard fans the opportunity to see some really great dream matches over in AEW. But at the same time, who are we kidding? I love seeing CM Punk. I don't care what his status is or what has happened elsewhere, or what his role is going to be on the card. I'm going to love to see him perform because he really is one of the best in the world. I don't know if I'm going to say he's the best in the world, but he's one of them clearly. So thrilled that he came back. It was done in such a creative way. That Chicago crowd, I thought the dude who kept chanting Chicago, Chicago, Chicago was driving me nuts. He kind of looked like Samoa Joe, a little smaller. I love the reaction Punk got with the second group of people he went and gave hugs to. I thought that was really cool. I did think they cut the camera feed a little early. The whole thing where, we find out after the fact that Seth Rollins is flipping the bird and going off acting like he's going to fight Punk. And Punk sits down, crisscrosses his legs in the aisleway, and they're he's waving to him and stuff. I think that would have been a cool element to have instead, but WWE's not stupid. They know that in the world of social media, somebody will be recording that on a cell phone and they can put it up and let it go viral. But I thought it was a magnificent return to the company. What I'm disappointed in is the promo Monday night. It was so I liken it to the difference that when he returned originally to AEW, after his multi-year hiatus. That to me was Attitude Era return, and then this was PG Era return. I wanted that gruff, rough, no-nonsense, serious CM Punk, and I feel like I got this, almost the corporate WWE CM Punk, and it didn't come across as genuine. I'm home. You're not home. Home for him was original Ring of Honor. Home is a lot of things, even original, WWE ECW would even be more home, I think, for his style. But I get it. He, 400 plus days as WWE champion. Maybe he wants to call that home. But after all the trash he talked the last couple of years, it's just weird for me to see the guy looking at it as being home. Now, look, maybe all the transgressions over in AEW have made it so he's matured quite a bit. Maybe he really is a different person. Maybe he realizes, dude, I really screwed up. And maybe that'll lead to some good stuff. Obviously, a Seth Rollins match is somewhere down the line. There's already rumors about a Stone Cold Steve Austin match down the line. I'm okay with all those. I think that's a great idea. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with his current deal with Cage Fury Fighting Championships. He signed a deal with them back in 2018. It was a 15-year deal. He's got 13 years left or something like that. on his latest contract with them, but I don't know if he's still going to be able to do that or not. I know they had conversations the last time he was at one of their shows where he mentioned when he was going to be a free agent. It's pretty cool to see that happening, but I'm not sure if they'll let him keep doing that in WWE. And maybe they will. I mean, nowadays they seem like they're a little more laid back than they were back during the Vince era, but we'll have to wait and see. It sounds like from everything the PW Insider was reporting last night on Raw, Punk's promo was cut short because of the Randy Orton Dominic Mysterio match going a hair longer than it was probably supposed to. But it sounds like in the back, most of the wrestlers were actually, in a much more positive perspective to Punk. He talked to people. He tried to make amends with some people. And it sounds like it's a relatively positive thing out there. I'm not going to say everybody. As we know, the word came out that Drew McIntyre, you could see a video online now people put up of him storming out of the cage after Survivor Series. I get it. Maybe he was leaving because he was irritated about Punk. I don't think that was all of it because they smartened up all the guys in the War Games match that Punk was coming back that night. They knew ahead of time. So it's not like he was being surprised by it. I don't think he liked how the match was booked, which I agree with. The end of the match seemed very anticlimactic and almost like a smear campaign against the Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre. And maybe he's frustrated with his position in the company. Maybe he's frustrated that, Punk just got a ton of money and he's not. Or maybe it's something in the ring. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. I don't want to speculate. A lot of people have. I think that's not good reporting. All we know is he was frustrated about something. So hopefully that gets resolved. We know there's a video online. It's viral of Rhea Ripley flipping the bird. There you could see one where Corey Graves and Michael Cole's reaction to his music hitting. I thought those were pretty cool. I think Michael Cole might have been the most excited person from WWE in that moment. Curious to see how it all plays out. I'm thrilled he's back as long as he keeps it together. Now apparently there's a clause in his contract that he can't act a fool this time. He can't be getting in physical altercations or he could have a serious issue on his hand in terms of his contract and whatnot. So hopefully, we keep things going. And by the way, on the topic of contracts, the word out, Wrestling Observer Radio reported that WWE is trying to secure talent to long-term deals now. Now that they're merged with UFC and became TKO, there's a whole thing going on over in the mixed martial arts world about contracts and lengths and profit sharing and all that kind of stuff. And this could lead to much bigger contracts for professional wrestlers and WWE trying to lock people into longer-term contracts as soon as possible. So they can get around some of the potential nightmarish situation that comes down from whatever happens in court in reference to that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Love the Cody Rhodes stuff that's going on. If anybody didn't see Monday Night Raw, Cody came out. He was talking about his father, and then, the lights go out. Shinsuke Nakamura appears, and apparently this is who he was targeting the whole time. And I actually love it and hate it all at the same time. I think Rhodes and Nakamura is a great match. What I hate is Nakamura loses every feud, and this is just another one. You cannot have Cody lose a feud and then go complete his story at WrestleMania, which I'm still hoping they do. So I don't like that Shinsuke is going to get buried yet again, but what are you going to do? It's a great segue program. I actually kind of think Shinsuke should have beat Seth for the championship. Now, if you knew Punk was coming back, which apparently was a Nick Khan decision, period. Yes, Triple H knew about it. Yes, he had some conversation about it, but it was a Nick Khan decision to bring him back. Some of the executives didn't even know this was going on. But with all the what's going on in the mix and the matches that are possibly coming up for Mania, I don't know. I love the Nakamura Cody thing. I just wish Nakamura was going to be in a feud where he actually had a shot to be the main attraction and come away with a win. I mean, it would be a beautiful thing. All the return news is really captivating this week. Obviously, the R-Truth, the Randy Orton. You've got the CM Punk. You had Stephanie McMahon at ringside for Survivor Series. I thought that was great. Let's be honest. She's been a wrestling fan her whole life and in the business her whole life. So, of course, she should come back every now and again and do something. It wasn't business related. But then, I love on Monday night when Punk was doing his little promo that he gave a shout out to his wife, AJ Lee, and maybe that leads to something somewhere down the line. The programs ahead of Survivor Series kind of spoiled a little bit. They mentioned AOP, Akam and Razor coming back. They mentioned Gallus from NXT. And then if you watch WWE Shop, new merchandise release for Trish Stratus. And, we're heading right into Royal Rumble time, like Cody, first entrant announced. So who knows? We may have a lot of returns coming up in a very short period of time, which could only be a good thing for WWE. I really think that's the case. Don't know how they would use AJ Lee. I know there's some health concerns there, but any use of her would be fantastic, and I think that would be very helpful. Going to wrap up some of the WWE notes. Former Lucha House Party member Lince Dorado back in the company. He was with WWE back. He was let go in 2021. He had like a 5-year run with Lucha House Party prior to that. He's done a lot of indie wrestling lately. He appeared on multiple programs, but he is backstage at NXT tonight and is now working as a coach at the Performance Center. And good for him. I think he's got plenty of time left, to be an active wrestler. But he's been in the business for like 16 years. I think it was, I forget who it was that posted that. But there's a thing on Instagram with him talking about, returning to WWE and whatnot. But this past year, he's been in MLW, New Japan Strong, Impact. He's been all over the place, so it's great to see him get an opportunity, but he is 36. He's not a, spring chicken by any stretch, but I'm glad to see him get an opportunity to go back and, and do something of substance for WWE, especially with the influx of all these lucha influences they've had over the last couple of years. I think it's a great thing. I'm going to throw one thing out, just one, about AEW this week. MJF, legit injuries. He has a dislocated hip that occurred when he hit the top rope elbow to the floor against Jay White, and he has a torn labrum, which he suffered taking a top rope maneuver from White. So some serious injuries to MJF, which is a problem because he is supposed to defend against Samoa Joe the end of December. He is half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, where his partner's injured as well. You can only make the guy. He's medically cleared to perform despite the injuries, but they're racking up, And seriously, with everything going on with Punk and with Cody, the way he's been presented in WWE, if he hasn't already signed an extension with AEW, they need to lock him up real soon, because if I was getting injured as often as this guy is, I'd start thinking about my other options and maybe working for a company that pays as much or more money and it's not going to ask me to do such physically demanding stuff as AEW requires, because Tony Khan is so into that more strong style version. QT Marshall leaving AEW this week. He was huge in the back, in the back, working multiple positions, talent and whatnot for AEW, and he resigned this week. He wanted to wrestle more. That was a big factor. He felt like they were going in another direction, something that didn't really work for him. He likes more of the storytelling and the showmanship aspect of it, the sports entertainment side of things, and he feels like Tony Khan is going for so much more the focus on like almost like New Japan style wrestling. And that is somewhat problematic for him. He has great ties to Cody Rhodes, runs the Nightmare Factory, and things like that. So we'll have to see if that parlays into maybe a coaching gig at WWE. But he does still want to be in the ring. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he'd be a perfect fit for NXT. I don't know. But good for QT moving on. Hopefully MJF gets himself together and gets better. I did see Ricky Starks tweeted something out about CM Punk in support. Maybe there's a gateway there to WWE at some point in the future. We'll have to wait and see. The last thing for tonight, I don't even like talking about this. Tammy Sytch, formerly known as Sunny, TMZ reporting that she was given a 17-year prison sentence for her role in the death of a 75-year-old man during a traffic incident back in March of 2022. She was under the influence of some kind of alcohol or narcotics, drugs or whatnot. She's going to serve 8 years probation after she is released in 2040. Her driver's license is permanently revoked. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but she has to be happy because she could have gotten a maximum 25-year sentence, which would have been even more crazy. I can't believe 2040. Seriously, think about that. 2040 till she gets out. But you took a life, and this is not the first time she's had to run in with the law. A long time coming, and I'm just glad for that family that there's some closure about what they're going to do, and hopefully she gets herself back together and can be a positive influence whenever she does get out. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back next time for all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing any music or sound effects we use in our shows. Today's show sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy. It's holiday season. Grab a copy of Sketchy People, a game by Beazle Games that you can pick up at thegamecrafter.com. About $35 for the game. Great game. Played it. Loved it. Very artistic. Love seeing all the creativity my kids put together when they play the game. Very cool. Check out a copy of Sketchy People. Very fun family game night. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us tonight. Until next time, take care. Have a good one, everybody.